Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles, California. It's 6 p.m. in Windy City, Chicago. And in the Big Apple, it's 7 p.m. Hello, everybody. Mad Dog the Scipio, joined by Amelia the Pitbull Chapman on a terrific Tuesday. It's a great day today, Amelia. How
Yeah.
are you, kid?
Doing good.
It's a terrific Tuesday. The weather was just as perfect as could be. Got a nice walk in. It made me think about my relationships and that's the show tonight.
Absolutely. Yes.
I kind of lied a little bit. The walking didn't make me think about relationships. It was our show topic scheduled.
Yeah. It's like, what are we going to do today?
About relationships. We're going to talk about that tonight. First of all, how is everybody? How you feeling?
Doing good. I got a little work a little bit early because she had already planned it off because of the show that we were going to do. I said, you know what? I'm still taking it off so I can have a better day.
There you go.
Yep.
So we decided tonight we're going to talk about relationships and
Yes.
why people fall in love and how they fall in love and how people meet and all this crazy stuff that goes along with relationships.
Mhm.
And is your relationship worth saving and how secure is it and when did you know that you loved your person and blah blah blah. We're going to talk about all that happy horse shit on tonight's episode of Is Your Relationship Worth Saving? Well, first of all, that's kind of even right off the bat, it's kind of like you're pigeonholing people.
Yeah.
How about if we say this instead of is your relationship worth saving? Why don't we say, are you in a happy relationship? How about that?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. First of all, we've all been involved one way or another in various relationships, especially if you've lived, any semblance of life, right?
Yes.
So me a little bit more than you because naturally I'm older and I made, probably more mistakes than you did, which is par for the course because A, I'm a guy and B, I'm old.
You're not that old, but go ahead.
Well, God bless you. But, here's the thing, though, and it is true. I think when it comes to relationships, particularly when you're younger and you're just starting to date, and you're in high school and maybe you met somebody in school and you say, oh, well, this is good. She's the one. She's going to be the one. Because you hear that happens all the time.
Oh,
a
yes.
couple meets in high school and they get married when they graduate and they stay together for like 50 years, right?
Right.
But those relationships, folks, I'm not putting the shitter on this, but let me just tell you, those relationships are very few and far between.
Very few.
Very, yeah. They don't happen in my neighborhood.
Because they could say, oh, yes, this is my high school sweetheart. And then, yeah, like you said, they could get married.
You know what it is? Can I tell you who's responsible for that?
Who?
Who do you think? Who do you think's responsible for that flowery picture?
The high school sweetheart thing?
Yeah. Who do you think? Who's responsible for that? Because I'll tell you one word. In one word, who's responsible?
Who? God?
Hollywood. Oh no, God got nothing to do with this
the movies, you mean?
This is all exactly.
I wish I had this kind of life, and should be in my life, blah blah blah, kind of thing.
Think about it. Think about I'll give you, here you go. I'll give you the classic example, perfect example. And it's a Christmas movie and it's perfect. And they're going to wear this movie out this time of the year.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. If I don't know which one it is,
It's called It's a Wonderful
Wonderful
Life.
Life. Yes.
And they're going to wear the shit out of it
Mm-hmm.
because they do every year. And guess what? Every year I watch it because it's a great fucking movie. I
Right.
love that movie. And my mother hates it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, my mother don't like a whole lot. But she's just that's the truth. I love your mother, but you know what? You just don't like people.
Oh, that
She
too.
just
And
doesn't.
then authors too that write books, they turn them into movies as well, and the authors too.
Well, yeah, but and that's another thing. Literature.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get serious for a minute, because literature, oftentimes, Amelia, romanticizes the idea of relationships. And that's both a good thing and a bad thing. On the one hand, it bolsters the idea of being in a relationship with the person.
Right.
Okay. On the other hand, that's an awful lot of pressure,
It is an awful lot of pressure.
especially for a young. Well, remember, right now, we're talking about like high school couple.
Yeah, like Romeo and Juliet kind of toward
Yeah,
that was pretty
no,
bad. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly like Romeo and Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
You're right there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I get that. There was a girl in high school. I was crazy about her.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy about it. I went to grammar school with her, elementary school, and I went to high school with her. I was so happy she went to the same high school I went to.
Mm.
Her, and I'm going to say your name out there, you fucker, Kathy Prendergast.
Mm-hmm.
I just had the biggest crush on this girl
Mm-hmm.
in school, right? And then we graduated,
Mm.
and then we ran into each other.
Hmm.
And she was the biggest piece of shit bitch walking on earth.
Wow.
She was what they called the bitch on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
She was a bow wow, okay? She was a
Wow.
bow wow, a bitch on wheels and a witch on wheels.
Mm.
That was the bow wow.
Wow.
Bitch on wheels and a witch on wheels.
Yeah. Yeah,
She
we all
was
have that.
fucking miserable.
Yeah, we all have that first crush too, like in high school or junior or middle school. We in Texas we called it junior high school, but this guy would follow me around and said I was so pretty, blah blah blah, walking me to class, and then
Oh, look at you. Did
no,
he hold your hand?
and then I was in the restroom with my friends, and then we were talking, and this girl's like, "Yeah, I can't believe this guy's gonna walk me to class. His name Pete." And I said, "Pete?" I said, "Hey, this guy, I have a Pete that walks me to class." And so she says, "Is it, you know, I can tell his name, Gonzalez, right?" And
Yeah.
so I said, "Gonzalez." I said, "That's his name too." And so he described him. So at lunch, we would go outside. So
Yeah.
we kind of peeked a little bit, and I said, "Is that him over there?" She goes, "That's him wearing the so and so colored shirt." So she and I decided to put arm in arm like this, like this, arm in arm, and we walked out together right to him. I said, "Who are you
You
going to
did
walk to class?"
not. You confronted him.
Yes, we did.
You cheating little
And
slime,
he looked
you.
at her like, "What? Like, oh my God, what am I going to do?" Yeah.
That cheating little slime ball.
Yeah. And then he came to me
Two
and told,
timing with two girlfriends in school.
yeah. And then he's like, "I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to see that girl anymore." And then he told her the same thing about me. And we're like, bye.
That's when the
Bye.
girls get together and go, see you later,
Mm-hmm.
alligator.
Yep.
After a while,
Yeah.
crocodile.
And that's when, a guy could be with a girl and then a new girl comes into school and
Was that your first high school crush?
yes. One of, well, what, yeah, middle school. And then there was one in high
Oh,
school.
okay,
But
middle school. Okay.
mhm.
I have to tell you, I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Okay.
My first crush, and I was crushed when I found
Aw.
true.
Mhm.
My first crush, I was in the fifth grade.
Aw.
My first crush was on Darla from the Little Rascals.
Aw.
Keep in
Cute.
mind,
Mhm.
okay? Keep in mind the Little Rascals were from the 1940s,
Mhm.
okay? This is 1966. Okay. So Darla is almost 30 years old. And I'm like maybe 5 or
Yeah, but
6, right?
you mean the characters who you fell in love with watching
I didn't know. I thought that she was
the same age, right? Yeah. Well,
I saw a little kid on, she was, to me, she was a little kid on TV. I
mm-hmm,
figured, oh, we're the same age.
mm-hmm.
I just thought she was the cutest little thing till I realized when I saw her,
Mm-hmm.
I was crushed, but I was like, wow, boy, she really filled out nice.
You were like, what is that?
Yeah. She was smoking. She grew up to be beautiful.
Yep.
And, but, it's funny because when your perception as a little kid, when you're a kid, what do you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Mm-hmm.
I was in 5th grade. I might have been what? Maybe, I don't know,
About 11, I
9,
think. 11
maybe,
at least. Mm-hmm.
maybe 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never got left back on anything
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. I had to start school late, so yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because of my
No, I
district
I
requirements.
graduated high school. It's funny, that's true. I graduated high school. Um, I was 17.
Yeah. My daughter was 16. When she graduated high school, she would have turned
Yeah,
17. But when they graduated, because her birthday was in June. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was 17 when I graduated.
And
Yeah, like
see,
that year.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it talks to crushes, if it wasn't for my crush, you and I would never met.
Well, no, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
That was my, and again, it was just something I talk about because it was funny at the time.
Right?
My first crush was Darla from the Little Rock.
Oh.
But then my first like teenage crush, as I said, was in
Mm-hmm.
grade school, and what are they calling it now? Grade school,
Elementary
grammar
school,
school,
grade school, grammar
elementary
school.
school.
Yeah.
They got like 5 different names for the same fucking school.
Yeah, right?
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, bottom line was, look, I went, I went to high school.
Mm-hmm.
I had girlfriends in and out of high school. Um, I did find out that my girlfriend in high school did cheat on me.
Aw.
So well, what happened was I went to pick her up from school one day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because she was going to a different school than I was at the time. And I saw her walking out, with this other guy. I was like, who's he?
Like, what?
Like, where'd he come from?
Mm-hmm.
And you go like, I love you and blah blah blah, and
Mm-hmm.
and you're my guy and blah blah blah. And there's a lot of blah blahs in there. Trust me when I tell you.
Right?
And I say, you know what? Look, I spent money on you. My family spent money on you because she didn't have shit.
Mm.
She had nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we spent money on her, buying her clothes, buying stuff for her family. And she was just, that was my real, and it's funny, it wasn't real. I was going to say it was my first heartbreak,
Yeah.
but I have to tell you, in all honesty, it wasn't really a heartbreak. I was kind of, if I'm very honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
the truth is I was actually kind of relieved,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I was kind of relieved to be like done with her.
It hurt for a little bit, but then you
It
realize,
hurt for about 3 seconds.
right?
Here's the thing about me that people should know. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I could spend 15, 20 years with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute I walk away, I'll never talk to you and never see you again. It'll be done. That's how I am with relationships. I will never, ever chase after anybody for a relationship. I will never go after anyone. When it's done, it's done.
Right.
Time to move on. And that's what I do. And people, and guess what? My wife's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very, very similar in a lot of ways. That's why we get along.
Yeah.
Because she did walk away and never look back.
Yeah.
And I've done the same thing.
Oh yeah.
When
Same
I
here.
left Tennessee, let me tell you something. I left my whole life in Tennessee. Here's what was important to me: Rocky, Princess, and my clothes. That was it.
Absolutely.
That was it. That's what I came back to New Jersey with.
Hmm.
Starting over at 50.
Yeah.
Okay. You hear what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, we pretty much did the
Starting
same.
over at 50.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I started over and fresh and built myself up. Because look, I'm a survivor.
Hmm.
You can't keep me down. Not for
No.
long anyway.
Right.
You know? And so it's you have to decide what relationships are important to keep and which ones you have to be rid of. And
Absolutely.
relationships we're talking about in terms of men and women, but we also have other relationships that are important, like our friends and our families and people that we keep in contact with. Those are also relationships. Somebody's in the chat with us.
Yeah.
And Leon says his relationship is just fine.
Hmm.
Leon, I'm happy for you,
All
brother.
right.
You and your girlfriend, he's got a little Italian girlfriend, Leon
Hmm.
does.
Yeah.
You know why you're fine, Leon? Because you got an Italian girlfriend. There you go.
Right.
That's why he's fine. Amelia, talk to me about how you and Jeff met.
Okay. Well, I was working at the shoe store. It was called Shoe World, kind of like Payless.
Yeah, I
And
know. Sure, I know the place.
I had already gone through a breakup before. I had been engaged before, but I said, that's it. I'm done with men. I'm sick and tired of relationships. If there's going to be a man, he's going to come find me. That's
You
it. I'm
can never be done with men. Two reasons why. You like men too much and you're
what?
Mexican.
Not
It's
on the
in your
first part.
it's in your blood.
Yeah, I'm
You
Mexican, right? But
it
thing
it
is
yeah.
that
Let me tell you something.
mm,
I know Mama Valerio. Let me tell you something about Mama Valerio. If you went to your mother and said, "I'm done with men," she would have ran to the nearest church and did 5 Hail Marys and rosaries. Okay.
actually, I was surprised, but no, she would have said, you know what, good for you if that's what you want, and if you want to be single, that's good because that's what you want to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Mama
Oh, yeah.
Valerio, I'm a little disappointed in you.
Well, it's because she saw what I had gone through before, and so
Oh,
I
I'm
said,
sure.
that's it.
I'm busting your chops. Of course, you
I
know.
said, I'm tired of men. I'm sick and tired of relationships. If there's gonna
Yeah.
be a man, he's gonna come find me. That's it.
Well, there you go. You said this time
Hmm.
you're going to chase me if you want me.
Right.
Well, there you go. Good for
I
you.
said because with the first one that I met was a different story, but this with Jeff, it was funny because he came in looking for shoes for somebody else, women's
Really?
tennis shoes.
Oh, he was looking for a pair of shoes for his girlfriend.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny?
basically. Yeah. And so he came in,
Isn't
he
that
says,
funny?
"Can you show me where the women's shoes are?" I said, "They're right over there." And me and this lady were like, "Okay." Because he was fit, like that. And so, and the customer was like,
Was you sizing him up, Chapman?
no, it was funny because she did that. She was like that. And she says, Amelia, she says, I said, yes, ma'am. Because she was a customer. She goes, I wouldn't hate myself in the morning with that, would you? And I was like, oh my God, she just not to just say
Oh no. So she encouraged it.
And so I was like,
Oh
"Oh,
my God.
okay." So I went back there to see if he was doing okay, and he said
Yeah.
yes. So he says,
It's
"By the way,
funny.
can I get it gift wrapped somewhere?" I said, "Yeah, there's a store called Mervin's. You can get it gift wrapped over there."
Yeah, they do gift wrapping. Yep.
Right.
Hmm.
So after a while, I said, "Okay, that's it, whatever." And after a while, he came back. He says, "I want to say thank you for recommending Mervin's." I said, "Oh, no problem. We do it all the time. That's just part of
Right.
our job." He goes, by the way, he goes, what kind of vacuum cleaner do you have? I said, I'm not
Kind
really
of
sure.
hold on a minute. Back up. Back up. He
Uh,
went from where can I get these shoes gift wrapped
uh,
to what kind of vacuum cleaner do you use?
yeah.
Was
And
he trying to say that you're a sucker? Is that what he's trying to say?
I
Like
said,
a
I'm not,
vacuum cleaner, like a sucker?
I don't know. I looked at him like, what?
You
He
gotta
goes,
explain his vacuum cleaner to me, Amelia. Go ahead.
he's like, well, I'm a Kirby vacuum cleaner salesman. I said, oh,
Oh,
okay.
Kirby and the
Yeah.
expensive shit. Okay, go ahead.
And so I said, well, I'm not sure. He goes, well, where is it? I said, it's in the back room. So I just opened the door, took the vacuum. He goes, "Oh, okay." He inspected it. And I said, "Well, I'm not the one you have to talk to. I'm not the manager."
Mm-hmm.
He goes,
Right.
"Oh, by the way, can I have your phone number? We could talk about this later." Silly old me. Just gave him my number out of the blue. I never did this before. He goes, "Oh, by the way, come here." He gave me a kiss on the cheek. And I was like, "Okay." So he did. He called me. He went to a payphone when they had payphones, people, if you probably don't know what they are, if you're not old enough.
Yeah, I know what payphones. Yeah,
And he called
I
me
sure
from
do.
there. He called me from there and I said, "What are you doing calling me from a payphone?" He goes, "Well, the shoes I bought were
Because he
for the."
doesn't want his girlfriend to find.
Exactly. And she had a kid with him because he came to Odessa, Texas to stay with her.
Oh my God.
And so he had a son at the time, Donald. Donald was 3 years old.
Right.
And Donald, he came to meet me and he said, "This is my son Donald." I said, "Hi Donald, how are you?" He says,
Right.
Donald says, "I'm doing good." Like he talked like that. He goes, "By the way, I'm hungry. My daddy don't feed me. You got
My
cereal?"
daddy don't feed me.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
he
what he
threw Jeff
talked.
right under the bus, didn't he?
But he did. I think he meant the other lady, but he told her not to say her name. I guess he goes, "You got any cereal?" The way he talked.
That's funny.
So I said, "Yeah, we got cereal." So we got to talking and everything. And he would just come over. We talk outside. We wouldn't do anything else. We wouldn't go out on dates or anything. And then something happened between him and her.
Yeah.
It came back here to Florida. And so we just talked back and forth, over
Yeah.
the
You know
phone.
what happened between him and her?
Kind of
Oh, I
not.
know what happened between him and her. He gave his phone number to a shoe salesman in Florida.
No, I was living in Texas at the time.
Oh, in Texas. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
this is all in
Wrong
Texas.
state.
This
My
is all in Texas.
condolences to people in Florida. Sorry, folks.
And um, so we talked back and forth. He moved here to Florida to be with it, and his mom's like, "Who is that?" Because I gave him a picture. He says, "Who is that?" He goes, "I'm gonna marry that woman someday. That's my future wife." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh,
So
Jesus.
yeah, and so he moved to Tennessee after a few months, and that's where he
They
took
all
up
go to
residency.
Tennessee. Why?
Mhm.
Why is that? Why do they all end up in Tennessee?
I don't know. We went up to Knoxville, and so I gave him this letter and I said, "Look, it's either going to be we're writing back and forth to each other or we're going to get together.
Mhm.
You tell me." He says, "Well, come on down. We'll get together." And he had already met somebody at the time. And of course, she was expecting, I guess, I might as
Oh
well
yeah,
say.
sure,
And
absolutely.
so they didn't really, he told her, he says, "My girlfriend's coming down, this was just a one-time thing." And
Yeah,
all of a sudden she turned out pregnant. They didn't have supposedly a relationship. So
right.
we ended up coming down there. We got together and then we got married. And then, of course, Joseph came along a few months later. I
Yeah,
got pregnant real quick with Joseph.
incredible.
Hmm.
So he's got how many, like
Seven,
ballpark? Seven
seven
running around.
children. Hmm.
God, I
But
hope he makes a lot
before,
of money for child support. But
well,
I'll tell you
they're
what,
all
Amelia.
grown up now, but
Oh, thank God for that.
right. I see it's a time for a commercial break as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, going 722,
Yeah,
23.
see? Yeah.
All right, let's take care of this, folks. We'll be right back.
Ayoko na, Zay.
Ayun na, pre. Kaya siguro lagi nakatingin kasi yun na lamang ang magagawa. Inaabangan ako na mawala kaso lang ang malala nadapa kakatingala.
Game?
Sa kapunta to the moon, road trip, vroom vroom, skr skr, zoom zoom.
We are back.
Yep.
Live with Amelia Pitbull
Mm-hmm.
Chapman and yours truly, the Mad Dog, Angelo DiCipio. And we are talking about one of the most controversial subjects any couple of people could talk about, which is your damn relationships.
Yep. But I mean,
Relationships.
we've
How
been,
do people meet?
yep,
Where
And-
do they meet?
weird circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think we established pretty well
Hmm.
that it all really kind of starts in that 15, 16, 17-year-old period.
Or if you have a crush of a celebrity,
Well, it starts, I mean, it starts younger for sure, but
Mhm.
in terms of like when your relationships become more serious,
Right.
you
Oh,
know,
absolutely. Yes.
largely, like 6, 15, 6 in high school, generally speaking.
Mhm.
And then, of course, a lot of people um, are, lucky enough or whatever, or unlucky enough
Yeah. I
to
mean, some of
marry their
them.
high school sweetheart.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
Hollywood glorifies that whole thing. It's like almost like Hollywood somehow is emotionally invested in your relationship.
Yeah, they try to do everything they can to get you into like a sucker, like you said,
Yeah,
into that
yeah,
movie,
exactly.
like it should be. But everybody knows it's not going to be that way.
Yeah, no. I mean, here's the thing, though. You got to remember that real relationships are all about maturity, right? I mean,
Absolutely,
you
yes,
have,
that's
but
pretty.
we have to admit that there's a level of maturity involved in relationships. Well, let's just be honest about it. How mature are high school kids?
Not very mature.
No, no.
None.
These are these are kids that are still shooting spitballs at each other through straws.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm
Yes.
saying, you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah. Or even if you're not mature enough, and you think you're going to go be a part of an armed service and decide, oh, I'm just going to go AWOL with my friend instead of marrying you. Bye.
Can you tell the? She's got some stories. Can you do
Oh,
me a
yeah.
favor?
Hmm.
Can
Yes.
you tell our viewers and listeners that AWOL story that you told me off
Yeah.
air?
Yeah, I was
Go ahead.
that's how I had started working at the shoe store. So that's why I said that I'm not done with men. They're gonna come find me, things like that. Because
Hmm.
I met this gentleman that was in the Marines, and he and I got to talking, we started dating, and we ended up falling in love to where we were gonna get married. And of course he had to come back to California to share
Falling in love or falling in lust?
love. We were in love. We would write
Oh,
to each
wow.
other, we
Okay.
talked to each other, and he gave me an engagement ring. We were all he had to do was show up for the wedding. We had everything planned already. And at the last
Really?
minute, yeah, I had my wedding dress, everything. Everything.
Are you serious?
Yes.
And what
Mhm.
did he tell me you got stood up?
Well, not at the altar, but about a month or so before the wedding, he brought this friend down with him. He says, "Oh, by the way, I'm going AWOL and I'm gonna join the rodeo, and I'm gonna have to break up with you. Everything's off."
Back up.
Hmm.
Back up. Wait a minute. Because my mind is turning here.
Right.
You go through the trouble of getting a wedding dress.
Everything, the
Your
whole
family is invested. His family's invested.
yes,
People are meeting each other.
yes.
How old? I'm afraid to ask you, but I have to. How old is this Marine?
He was 22,
And how old are you at this time?
21.
21. So you're just out of your teens, you're young adults.
Yes.
Okay, mistake number one. Go ahead. All right. So, and I'm saying that because I believe that.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
really believe that, and in my opinion, and call me crazy, and I just feel like this 20, 21, 22. To me, that's way too early to get married.
It is.
That's way too early to get married. I think you got to at least be most people graduate high school when they're like 17.
17 and 18, yes.
17 and 18. Okay. Fair enough. I think you should be out of high school at least 5 to 7 years before you even, at least 7 years
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I
before you
agree.
even think about committing to. Yeah, that's a pretty heavy commitment,
It
marriage.
is. It is, and we
Okay.
had everything ready, everything to go, and then
And you spent money on a wedding dress, and your family spent money, I'm sure, invitations and calling people up, and I'm
absolutely.
sure at caterers and a
Hmm.
wedding hall and places like
Yes,
that, right?
we had everything ready. The church, we're gonna get
And
married in the church and everything.
he shows up with a guy.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, by the way, I went AWOL and we're gonna join the rodeo." And
First of all, that was the first big mistake. He showed up with a guy.
Mm.
All right. I got a lot of problems with this story. Here's my first problem with this story. I almost could accept it. I almost could accept it if he showed up with a woman.
Yeah,
At least you would have had a legit excuse. Maybe he's dumping me for another woman.
right.
She's pretty, whatever the case. I don't even know. Whatever the case. But he shows up with a guy
Yeah, convincing him to
and
join
says,
the
I'm going
rodeo.
to join the circus. I just went AWOL.
Yeah,
Who does that?
somebody that's an idiot. I guess.
Yeah, apparently, you just answered my question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Like, who does that?
the Marines didn't know, so we had the Marines there in the mall where I was at, and I said, I just had a quick question, just hypothetical. If somebody went AWOL, what would they do or not get? And they said, well, they wouldn't get their benefits anymore, blah blah blah. He goes, oh, do you know somebody? I said, oh well, my ex fiance, and I just blurted, I sang like a canary, and he called me up the next day. And he says, how dare you do that to me? I can't get my benefits anymore. They didn't even know I was going AWOL. Or I said, too late. You hurt me, I'm
Well,
gonna hurt you.
when let's
Mhm.
be honest about it. You'd have to be an idiot not to say something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, that's what I told him. I said, you're gonna hurt me, I'm gonna hurt
Here's
you.
the thing, though. Here's the thing. And it's pretty simple to figure this out.
Hmm.
You're with him. They know that you're with him. Okay. The Marines know who he's with,
Exactly. They have to know.
right? And that's my point. So here's what happens. He doesn't say anything and goes AWOL. They're going to come looking at you.
Exactly.
They're going to go, okay, Miss Valeria,
Where is he at? Are you hiding
you know
him?
where this, Joe Schmo is, right?
Yeah, because I used to spend the weekends with his parents too. I mean, I'd go during the week, like that.
What did his mother and father say about
Oh,
this?
they were pissed because they had spent more of the money than anybody.
Yeah, oh sure.
Yeah.
Now, how about your mother and father?
They were just taken back, like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy hurt my daughter. If I ever see him, I'll kill him.
Well, you know what?
know.
You gotta at least say, thankfully they weren't that they weren't out a lot of money.
No, not a lot. My mom was going to do a lot of the cooking and things like that, so we had planned that. But
Yeah.
I had saved some money.
Jeez,
But
that's crazy.
that's why I said men are going to have to come. I'm done with relationships. That's it. And then
Well,
and
apparently
just
not.
wanna
You married Jeff.
well, at that time, but my big crush, my favorite wrestler is because I met you. So I thank him for
Well,
that.
yeah, well, Gino Hernandez was your crush,
Yeah.
you know.
But if it wasn't for him, I
Well,
wouldn't be here.
you're talking about like, what are you might have how old were you? You were maybe like 10,
10, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because Gino died when he was
29 and 85.
young.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
29.
Yeah. But I'm
He
saying because
wasn't even
years later.
30.
Yeah, years later though, if it
Because he's
wasn't for
been
him,
gone for God,
30
Gino's been
something
gone
years now.
40 years.
30 something, yeah, almost.
Yeah, almost 40, like 37
Yeah.
years, 38 years.
Mhm.
He's been gone almost 40 years.
Yep. And because of him, I
So,
get to pick on
having a
you.
crush on Gino Hernandez. Well, let's be honest about though, Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about Texas, and every girl in Texas was
Has a
in love
crush
with
on him.
Gino
Yeah.
Hernandez.
But because of him, I get to pick on you.
Well, I'm going to really give you ammunition to pick on. Okay, so I've been married.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear this story now. Okay.
I've been married 4 times, folks. 3 times for the record. The other time was annulled. It doesn't even count.
Mm-hmm.
Because the court found out, and my lawyer found, thank God I had a great lawyer. Thank you, John. They found out the woman I married was completely certifiable, like certifiable,
Mm-hmm.
like crazy in the head.
Right.
And she wasn't responsible for herself. Let me tell you where it went wrong.
This is gonna be interesting.
Oh
Get
God.
your popcorn ready.
I got married. I was 24 when I got married the first time,
Mhm.
and I had my daughter Adrian from that marriage. Um, I was married for 5 years. I cheated. I fucked up. I admitted it. I've admitted it then. I admit it now. I screwed up. I was working in Atlantic City,
Mhm.
in the casino business and the radio stations. And I would do the casinos, during the day, and I worked the radio station at night. And I used to meet a lot of people in the casinos, a lot of
Right.
women,
Yeah.
a lot of single young women in the casinos. And it was, I mean, you didn't have to do anything. They came to you.
Mhm.
I wasn't a bad looking guy at the time, and I was a hell of a lot thinner than I am now. And I was in my 20s, and not looking too bad at the time
Mhm.
before age got a hold of me.
Big both of us, right?
Well, man, it really beat the shit out of me, man. Oh man, it beat the crap out of me.
Mhm.
But and what happened? And I said, look, I met somebody, and how you want to handle this? And we handled it like adults, and and that was that. And I got divorced, and then I met. So this is many years go by. There's
Oh yeah. Mhm.
many years go by in between. Um, and I meet this. I'm just going to say, Cynthia. We'll just call her Cynthia.
Mhm.
Okay. I meet this girl, Cynthia, and she's got tons of money. It's so it seems.
Right. Yeah.
So it seems. Keep that in mind because that's going
Mhm.
to play very important.
Okay.
She's got tons of money, so it seems, and she drives a limo.
Oh.
She drives a limo. Um, and there's a limo parked in her house, right? I was like,
Mhm.
wow, this got a fucking limousine. Wow, no shit. And I found out whatever, and very short order. Make a long story short,
Mhm.
we had this crazy whirlwind romance,
Mhm.
and from the time I met her to the time I got married to her was 6 weeks.
Wow.
You hear what I'm saying?
6 weeks. Wow.
From the time I met her to the time I got married was 6 weeks. That ended up saving me. I'm going to tell you how.
Mhm.
Remember, I said she had all kinds of money, right?
Yes. Right. Mhm.
Let me tell you what money she had. Nothing. She was using her deceased father's credit cards
What? Oh
that were
my
in a
god.
shoebox. I can't, folks, I'm not making a word of this up. She had, I mean, hundreds of credit cards
Mm.
of different amounts and with every conceivable amount on it. But
Jeez.
there were no good anymore because they were in her father's name.
Mhm.
And her father, rest in soul, was deceased.
Mm.
Come to find out, her mother was using them too
Oh my gosh.
to try to pay stuff and had nothing to show for it.
Mm.
The limousine was not their limo. She was driving the limousine for a company
For a living, that was her
for
job
for
then.
making a living
Mhm.
driving the limo.
Wow.
And she was apparently she used to take the limo off duty,
Mm.
and she got fired from that job for riding the limo off of company time.
Mm.
That was the first part of it. The second part of it, and folks, I'm going to get a little graphic, but she had a relationship with the pastor
Mm.
that married us.
Wow.
And she insisted in being married in Delaware, which I'm glad she did because Delaware has a no contest clause. So I had two things going for me. We were married 6 weeks, and we got married in Delaware, which saved my ass My
Oh my
lawyer said,
gosh.
we're going to file a motion for annulment.
Hmm.
You're going to get granted an annulment and get the fuck out of here. Stay far away from
Run
her.
like the wind.
And that's what I did. That's what I did. I ran so far, I ended up in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I met wife number 3. Actually, technically number 2. Then number 2 was actually Cynthia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but doesn't count because it was annulled.
Right.
So the technically the 3rd, but actually the 2nd was Kim. God rest her soul. She just passed away.
Yeah, she did.
And that was Tennessee. And I was married to her for 16 years.
Wow.
And that was a long relationship. And we finally sat down one day and said, what's left? There's nothing left. Sometimes you just reach the end of the road and you go, well, what do we do now?
Yeah, that's a
And
part
but
of
we
it.
sat down like 2 adults and we talked about, I said, I've got a pretty substantial amount of money. I'm gonna leave you what I got. I don't need much to get started. So I had like 10,000-15,000 to start, and about 12,000, I should say, not 15. 10 to 12,000 I brought up. I left her everything. Okay. She went through everything.
Wow.
Everything. What she didn't sell, she hawked.
Wow.
And what she didn't hawk, her kids destroyed.
Hmm.
Because those kids could go through money quicker than a horse in the desert could go through water.
Jeez.
Okay. So, long story short, 16 years comes to an end. I take my 2 dogs, I load up my van with my clothes, and I come back to New Jersey. Fast forward a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and I meet Anita.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how I met Anita,
Well, I want to hear this story. I can't wait.
I decided to do something I never did before.
Mm-hmm.
I went online to a dating site called plentyoffish.com.
Oh, okay.
I was getting aggravated because I hate online dating.
You hate online, period.
Oh, I went online and I went to this Plenty of Fish.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up that everything happened in 3s with me. It was the 3rd day on Plenty of Fish. Okay. It was the let's see. It was the 3rd day. Oh, it was the 3rd day, 3rd person I looked at.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And the 3rd hour. I was on for 3 hours that day.
Wow.
And I saw Anita's picture.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a beautiful woman just sitting there at the table wearing a camouflage shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started a little chat with her. And she says, had a little stuff in there about, average height, average build, eyes, whatever. I said, first of all, this is how I met her.
Mm-hmm.
I said, first of all, there's nothing average about you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and your eyes are gorgeous, but you already know that. And I left it at that. And I said, if you're ever interested, here's my phone number. Give me a call. And I just left it at that. I didn't pursue it. We talked that night on the telephone.
Mm-hmm.
She says, okay, what's this about? I'm not average. I said, you're not. You're far superior than average. You're above average.
Right.
And she says, she's like thinking, this guy's a real smooth talker.
He's a smooth talker.
Then I started picking up her energy. And I started picking up information about her dad. And I told her some things, and she got very quiet. And she didn't say nothing. So I just let it go and didn't pursue it. And She says, "Look, I'll call you back in 30 minutes. I want to do my hair," which I knew was a lie because I've been with Anita now for 10 years.
Mhm.
She'll never do her hair in 30 minutes. It takes her at least an hour,
It does take an hour to do our hair. Are you kidding?
especially her hair, where she's got long curly hair
Mhm.
and she makes it straight,
Yeah,
and
I
that takes
had.
like 2 hours to do that
It
shit.
does when you have long hair. I did that too.
Yep. And so she calls me back an hour and a half later, and we talked. And
Mhm.
I said to her, talk about knowing stuff, right?
Right?
I said to her on the phone that night, I said, "You don't know this yet, but I'm going to marry you." And she says, "You're fucking nuts,"
Good.
right?
Right.
I said, "Okay, we'll see."
Mhm.
I said, "Have a good night,"
Uh-huh.
right? Literally,
Mhm.
I hung up the phone. Well, then we talked a little bit more on the chat, little text thing.
Mhm.
And she says something about this was at Christmas time, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
This is at Christmas time that we met. And she says something about um Santa Claus. I forget
Mhm.
exactly how she said it, but
Mhm.
she says something about uh Santa Claus.
Right.
So she didn't know this, but I have a Santa Claus costume.
Oh god.
So what I did was she came over to my apartment.
Mhm.
Let me tell you how smart this woman is.
Mhm.
She gave her sister my phone number, and she gave her a picture of where we were staying in my apartment building.
Mhm.
'Cause if anything ever happens,
You can
this is
find me right
you
there.
can find me here, right?
Right?
Well, she ended up staying that night,
Mhm.
okay? But I met her at the sidewalk.
Mhm.
She pulls up in this red car.
Mhm.
I'm standing out there in full regalia in my Santa
Oh
costume
my god.
at the sidewalk. And she gets out of the car and she's busting out laughing.
Oh my god, that is funny.
How I won her heart is
Mhm.
she told me on the phone what she likes to eat.
Mhm.
I remembered every single thing she said
Good.
because it happens to be all the stuff that I like to eat.
Mhm.
So I put out a spread for her
Mhm.
and she ate everything that I picked out for her, right?
Awesome.
And I'm sitting there in my Santa costume eating this.
Wow.
So I said, I got to take this off,
Uh-huh.
right? So I come out and I got my regular clothes on now. Now she knows what I look like, right?
Mhm.
And she didn't leave.
Hmm.
I thought that would scare her away knowing what I look like. She didn't leave. She stayed,
Uh-huh.
you know? And so luckily, we hit it off, and Rocky and Princess were like, "What the fuck is she? Who's this lady?" And
Aw.
Rocky was like, "What are you doing over here on my couch? This is my daddy."
Aw.
And Rocky was right in between both of us.
Mm.
And Princess was on my rocking chair, my rocking recliner,
Mhm.
going like this with her paw, you
Aw.
know, trying to get,
Get her attention.
their attention.
Mhm.
Because Rocky was hogging up all the attention.
Ah.
That's what Rocky did.
Mhm.
That was he was famous for that.
Mhm.
And that's how Anita and I met. We met on it was the oh, I know what it was. It was the third website,
Mhm.
the third person, and the third day.
Ah, okay.
That's what it was. The third because I went to
Mhm.
a website called Zoosk
Yeah.
and a website called OK Cupid.
Mhm.
You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember those. Yes.
Yeah, and then Plenty of Fish, and there's about
Mhm.
5,000 others. You
Yeah,
know,
growing every day.
yeah, Match.com and all this other
You know that they have
crap.
one for kids too, which is
I
horrible.
do know that, and that's disgusting.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, that's disgusting. It's like, why?
Mhm.
Really, why? You know? Um, Well, I didn't even get to my little show and tell tonight. Guess what? We don't need it.
Nope.
Tell you what we're going to do, Amelia. Let me
Yes.
jump in over here. Let me do a couple of spots because we just
Yes,
blew
we have
past
to do
our
a
other
couple
one.
commercials. Yeah, we got into your story, so I
Yeah,
was
I'll
more
tell you what I'm
interested
going
in
to do.
that.
I'm going to cram them in here, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, let's go. We'll be back, folks.
Yes.
What's Buzz Podcast wants to welcome Radioactive FM 88.6 in Wellington, New Zealand, Radio Perth, Australia, and RTL Radio 102.5 in Milan, Italy. Welcome aboard, and welcome to the Buzz.
Step 1, train the people only to consume. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem, made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design.
Jess wanted to start a business when something surprising happened.
Today I'm going to teach you how to crochet.
She started crocheting, like a lot. And her friends noticed.
Jess, you need to sell those.
So she signed up for Shopify and started building her business.
Yes, I love that.
And after a lot of hard work, this happened.
Oh my gosh, I just made my first sale!
You see, every day, hundreds of businesses get their first sale on Shopify.
We got it!
And the next could be you. So when you're ready to bring your idea to life
And become your own boss.
build it on Shopify.
Ayoko na, Zay.
Ayun na, pre. Kaya siguro lagi nakatingin kasi yun na lamang ang magagawa. Inaabangan ako na mawala kaso lang ang malala nadapa kakatingala.
Game?
Sa kapunta to the moon. Road trip. Vroom vroom. Skr skr. Zoom zoom.
We are back live with Amelia Pitbull Chapman, yours truly, the Mad Dog, talking about all about relationship. What a crazy night this was.
Yes.
How you gotta shake your head sometimes and look in the mirror and go, how the hell did we survive it?
Right?
Oh,
Especially the
man.
past ones to get where we're at now, right?
And you wonder, look, see the gray hair?
Yeah.
This was my teens,
Uh-huh.
this was my adult year. I got very lucky because I got
Mm-hmm.
I got a little bit of it, but not a lot.
Right.
So, yeah, look at folks. There's just a few in there. Quite a few.
Yeah, part of
Anyway.
part of those he blames for me. So.
Yeah, all about relationships. That's crazy, crazy. I'll tell you what, though. It really does take work.
Yeah, it does.
It
really
takes
does.
a lot of give and take. It takes a lot of eating a lot of shit. It takes a lot of keeping your mouth shut when you want to tell somebody to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear you is better than I love you. You know,
Yes.
if you know how to use it right. And that's important because we need to be, everybody wants to be heard
Exactly.
in relationships. But people also want to be loved in relationships. And there are some people, believe it or not, I can't make this up. Some people in relationships just want to be left alone.
Exactly. Yeah. They just want to be left alone after.
You have your life, I'll have my life, but we'll have it together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how that works.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah.
They're out there.
I mean, look at Bill Gates' relationship. He was like that for a long time, and then now they're getting
that whole
divorced.
thing is odd.
Yeah.
First of all, Bill Gates is odd anyway.
Well, I mean, they were married for a long time, but then of course he would spend his time in his little cabin, and of course she spends her time in her house, and they split. And then now they're getting divorced.
What do
after
you
so much.
think, Amelia, of people who have like separate vacations. What do you think about that?
I think that
I mean, we never talked about relationships on the show before, so this is an interesting topic.
hmm
But now there's all kinds of like different dynamics in relationships. You've got, as you mentioned, you know, him going to have me time and her going to have me time.
or
What
she'll go off
about
with the
people
girlfriend.
people who take completely separate vacations? Now, my family, we all vacation together because that's
Yeah.
what we like. You know, we enjoy
Mhm.
that. Plus, we like each other's company. Um, but there are, and you see it more and more happening, where people, and again, we're not experts in relationships,
No.
folks. So we're just
Mhm.
talking like two people. But you have these people for whatever reason
Mhm.
they want to take separate vacations. They want to go. They have like boys' weekend or they have girls' weekend
Right.
or whatever the case may be. How does that appeal to you?
Well, it just depends on if you have a real good friend or if someone that you really want to be with that you haven't seen in a long time. Because my daughter used to do the same thing with
Right?
her when she was first married, but now that she's getting remarried again, they
Yeah.
don't want to. They want to do everything together, and he's more
It's
Hispanic
interesting.
area, So
When I met Anita, um she used to go with her girlfriends to this little Italian restaurant, right?
hmm
A nice little place they used to go to.
right,
I would stay home and she'd go visit her girlfriends. And they always had a good time and she was always home by like 11,
right, yeah,
right? And if for whatever reason it never bothered me. And she's got a friend that she's known since she was like probably 8 or 9 years old.
hmm
Well, I'll just call him Rob.
right, yes,
Okay, and they've known each other basically since they were little kids.
right,
She still knows him today, him and his wife.
hmm
Her best friend is a guy.
yes,
And for some odd reason, maybe it's just because I'm older and wiser, but that doesn't bother me. And it never really has.
right,
But, and it's funny because they've invited us to go with them, to
hmm
their boat and whatever, you know. Um, and the dynamics. See, we talked about relationships.
right,
Anita's relationship with Rob is different than it is with mine because she's not married to him.
right. They're just really good friends, like brother and sister
Oh
relationship.
God, yeah, they've been together for ever. I mean, God
Mhm.
Almighty,
Oh
forever.
yeah.
My daughter calls him Uncle Rob.
Mhm.
And but she has an Uncle Rob too,
Right.
which is funny
Yeah.
because Anita's brother's name is Rob,
Mhm.
and her best friend's name happens to be Rob.
Right.
Both
Mhm.
Roberts. Um, but it's funny though that those kind of things are they're odd to some people. It never really occurred to me because first of all, I've seen every kind of relationship under the sun.
Right, yeah.
Because of not only because of what I did for a living, but I've been in every kind of relationship under the sun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I'm older, and and nothing really bothers me.
Mhm.
The only time I'm ever really bothered is when people talk shit about me that's not true.
Absolutely, and
If
I will
it's
defend you till the day that I die because I'm sick of people doing that too, and I had people do it.
here's the thing, like when you and I had an experience with a couple of guys that have a wrestling show. We're not going
Yeah.
to mention their name. Okay. But suffice it to say, in all candor, folks, what they said was not true.
No.
And it got me very angry. You can talk shit about me all day long if it's true. But if it's not true, keep your fucking mouth shut.
Oh, you have to deal with me.
Yeah, we're going to put the pit bull on you.
Right?
You
I mean,
know?
it's and then too, I have a best friend too from Texas. Owned his uncle owns a Mexican restaurant. I was the hostess there and he was the manager. And um we got along really great, and he got along with Jeff, and Jeff would come over to the restaurant, and we'd sit down and eat, and
Mhm.
we still get along to this day. And he calls from time to time to see how we're doing. He wants to
Yeah.
come to visit Florida, and I said, "Yeah, come
Yeah.
down."
Let me tell you about I saved the best for last.
Mhm.
I just mentioned Anita's friend Rob, right?
Mhm.
No last name unknown. We're not going to tell you.
Right.
When he told Anita that her father was a doctor.
Mhm.
Keep that in mind.
Okay.
He told Anita his father was a doctor. Well, he took Anita over his house one day after
Mm.
school,
Uh-huh.
right? And Rob's father walked in the door.
Uh-oh.
And he was all disheveled and he was dirty and all this other stuff. And Anita thought to herself, well, he doesn't look like a doctor. And then she said something, and apparently he forgot that he told Anita that his father was a doctor,
Mhm.
which he wasn't. He was he labored. He was a
Manual
manual
labor,
guy,
right. Got
right?
his hands dirty. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. And he builds stuff. He was, really talented building. He's a builder.
Right.
That's what he did. And so she confronted him. She says, your father's awful dirty for a doctor. And he said, what are you talking about?
Mhm.
He told me your father's a doctor. He goes, oh, I forgot. No, he's not a doctor. Anyway, this is the kind of shit this guy did. Anyway,
Mhm.
folks, listen, it's the one. We still got out of here by 1:00. Look at this.
Wow. Well,
Just
by
tell you
8:00,
what, I'm
actually.
good. I'm good. I know how to get us out of here.
Mhm.
Well, I'll tell you what. What do we got coming up next week? We're
Well,
just
we're
gonna.
still planning on next week, so we're still
What?
on a
No, I thought we're doing open forum next
open
week.
forum, right? Yeah. So we don't know what we're
Leon,
going to
remember
discuss,
that.
actually.
I know Leon's out there. I know Cindy
Mhm.
chatty chat, and she's out there.
Yeah.
Next week it's open forum.
Yeah.
If you want to get on here and tell us what you want us to talk about,
Mhm.
and we are going to talk about that. It's
Yeah.
open forum, and we will
Mhm.
discuss whatever you want.
Yeah, because we don't really know what we're going to talk about as far as the topic, so it's going to be
Yes,
open.
we do. We're doing open forum.
That's what I just said. We don't know what we're going to talk about. It's open forum. See how well we get along?
Get out of here.
Oh.
For Amelia Pitbull Chapman, I am the Mad Dog. We'll see you next week, folks. I'm going to beat this woman up. Goodbye.
Yeah, whatever. I'll get you.
See you next time.